1% of dudes rapping, they ain't nice as me. 98% ain't lived the same type of life as me. The judge gave me life and then they sent me where the life is be. That level 4 with depth and vice, the type of stuff they like to see. Two choices, fight or flee. I refuse to die a chump. I never been a mark, but damn, it's scary when that riot jump. I seen dudes cry, get pumped, and some sexually brutalized. Knew a dude who lost his life and he was only doing 5 year-long racial fights when homie all you do is ride. Lonely days and nights up in a hole causing suicide. From the moment you arrive, you see the Mexican mafia, AB skinheads with big giant swastikas, pro-black philosophers, the BGF, the Kumi, and Muslims who will murk you from the nation to the Sunni. That MS was loony, quick to ride up on they rival. Even Christians went to church, hide knives up in they Bible. Political and tribal, the Crips and Damus, the Long Beach, the Hubs and the Dubs and the Grooves, the IE, the Bakersfield, the Dago Pyrus, the Hustlers quick to roll, the gangsters don't move. Whatever click you choose, you better say what's cracking, YouTube. It's your boy 16 to life, and I'm back like I'm on a parole violation. Yard down. Now, for those of y'all that's new to my page, in 1994, I got arrested. I was eventually sentenced to 16 years plus life, and I served 24 years straight in the California prison system. During those times, I accumulated some good stories and some good insight on prison, so let's hop right up into this video. So today, I'm getting ready to give you guys my reaction on a video by Gunners Collective TV, and it's called Southsiders Stole All the Blacks' Property After a Prison Riot. Now, for the purpose of condensing the video a little bit, I'll edit down certain parts, but I'll leave its link in the description in case you want to see the video in its entirety. Now let's get into it.
But this right here, the story is about a situation between the Southsiders and the blacks and how it went down very quick, right? You know, 2 yards and 1 yards are going to be your dormitories. They're going to have dorms, right? You know, kind of like old YA days back when we had dorms, man. That's just the way it was. There was cell living, but for the most part, most of the institutions in YA were dorm living facilities, right? So you had to be around a lot of people. Now, not everybody can do dorm time. Not everybody, man. It's a very hard thing to do. Some people enjoy it. I liked it. I'm not going to lie, man. I'd rather be in a house, though, in a cell, you know, because it's just you. You don't have to deal with one person. You and your cellie, that's your business. You defend your casa. It's your pad. You keep it clean. Whereas in the dorm, you can't hang your pictures. You can't really get too comfortable, man. There's a lot of people farting all night, snoring. I mean, you have to get adapted to that situation.
Now, he's definitely right, man. Living in those gyms, it's a tricky situation. Like he say, man, you got people snoring, you got people farting, people talking in their sleep, having nightmares, their feet stinking. Yeah, so that gym is a different monster.
What had happened this particular time was the Norteños had gotten into it and they had got moved out of the gym, right? They had forgot who they got into it with, but they had got moved out of the gym. Now, at this time, I'm sitting in the back in the hole. I'm in the hole, I'm going through my motions, I'm doing a little whole time. So I'm in ad seg, no blueface, not in PC seg, but in ad seg, real ad seg, going through these hardships. Only coming out every other day for a shower, right? Not coming out for 7 hours on the phone talking to Christian Rock. It's a big difference. So I'm actually doing whole time. So I remember one night, and I've told this story before, but let me expand upon it because, you know, I just got some new information from a homie, which I had heard, and he confirmed it, right? So I remember one night, it's about 1 in the morning, 1 or 2 in the morning, man. The lights cut on and ad seg, and when the lights cut on, that means they're bringing people in, right? So bam, the lights wake you up. One thing about prison is you tread lightly and you sleep lightly, right? So anyways, lights cut on, and I start seeing them bring hella Southsiders in. I mean, hella Southsiders, probably like, I know I say hella, but I'm from Cali, that's how it is, right? Northern Cali says hella. Back to my silly, hey, you've often just moved on someone, or they got moved on, right? Trip out, but none of them are like really leaking. Well, then they start bringing hella blacks in, and I'm gonna be God's honest truth with you, man. These brothers they got bandages wrapped around their heads. Their faces look like they're all peeling. I mean, there was it was trouble, right? Something happened to them. Something bad happened to them. So I automatically assume, just knowing history, man, that the Southsiders got off with the blacks, right?
And that's how it is in prison when them riots jump off, you know. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose.
And they must have got them because these brothers are coming in aching. So anyways, they bring hella brothers in, and I'm on the bottom tier, so they put a lot of brothers on the bottom tier. So I'm hearing them communicate and talk back and forth. I'm trying to be Maticha, man, and listen out the door. You know, it's really none of my concern, but at the same time, when you're bored and in prison and it becomes redundant and it's the same old shit, anything that pops off, we like drama too, right? So I'm listening like, damn, what happened, right? So what had happened was the Southsiders decided to get off on the brothers in the gym. and they caught him slipping majorly, right? They waited till it was nighttime. They were all asleep, and they grabbed their hot pots, man, and they filled them up with hot boiling water, man, and they threw them in their faces, and they...
And just keeping it 100, there may be some people out there listening and saying, oh, you know, that's some sucker stuff, man. They gonna wait till the brothers go to sleep and they attack them with hot water, knives, and whatever. But that's how it is in prison, you know. It's no rules to war, and nobody is going to announce, hey, man, you know, we're going to come attack you guys at 12 p.m., so be ready. So those are Cali tactics.
Did it smooth and calculated the way they got off, right? One wave was to get off on these vatos, hit them with pieces, throw hot water in their faces, just snatch all the blacks up, man. They did it strategically. They had Southsiders everywhere at all points, right? And then the second wave was after they snatched these vatos up, man, the guys that stood back, right, in the cuts, we're going to steal all the black guys' property. They did this, man. They took everything. They took pictures. They took letters. They took hot pots, beef, summer sausages, everything, every bit of property these guys had, right? They broke into their lockers and took it while the cops were dealing with the situation. So as cops are...
I heard a similar situation as well when the blacks and Southsiders had got into it, and the blacks ended up stealing all the Southsiders' property. I don't necessarily think when they done that, it was planned. It was more of a just an opportunist situation that came, you know, which is still definitely a violation, though.
Facts, right? So here's the lead up in the build up to why exactly it happened. So the backstory to this is there was an Africano that had got there, a black dude, a Moreno, right? And when he gets to the gym, you know, it is what it is. He gets in with his people. I'm not sure if he was a Crip, Blood, Kumi, none of that. I don't know his, you know, what he actually was, but I know that he was a brother, man. And
now, as he mentioned earlier, he told this story before, and actually I had heard him tell it the last time, and why I specifically remember is because he said that the black dude was from Philadelphia, and so later on I'll explain a little bit more, but I distinctively remember him saying the dude who had stole the property was from Philly.
You know, one thing about in the gym is they hand out mail. Sometimes they'll come just drop it off to you. Sometimes they'll post like a paper that has everyone's name on it who got mail, or sometimes everyone would gather around at mail time, and they distribute it differently in every different place, right? Well, in this particular place, they would come drop it off on your cama, on your bed. Here, you got a letter. Here, you got a letter. Sometimes it's a guy that doesn't work that facility, so he doesn't know everybody. But for the most part, a lot of the cops that's their building, they tend to kind of identify or know who everyone is. That's part of the makeup of what they got going on. That's their job, right? So anyways, these individuals, this black dude, he gets a letter.
Now, that definitely has happened to me before. Like he said, you know, when you have officers working the building, they keep the same officers working the same buildings for the most part so they can be familiar with everybody. But, of course, like everybody else, those officers do get off days. And when the officer has an off day, of course, you have a person who's a non-regular working. And if they happen to get a piece of mail and it's labeled cell 117, they're supposed to check and make sure the name on the letter matches the name of the person that's in cell 117, but they don't always do that. Sometimes they'll come past and just push the letter in there. And so, of course, when that piece of envelope comes to the door and you look at it and you see that it's not your mail, the correct and proper thing to do is immediately call the CO. Call him back. Hey, CO, you put somebody else's mail in this cell. So sometimes what happened is you may have an individual who was in a certain cell, and maybe he's gone to the hole, maybe he's got moved, transferred, or whatever, and his family doesn't know about it, so they continue to write him at that cell. So like I said, you're supposed to immediately call the CO and return that mail.
And in this particular letter, man, it's not addressed to him. This letter isn't his. It's a Southsiders letter, right? Or it's a Mexicanos, and it ended up being a Southsiders letter. And there's some pictures in there, right? And I've told this before, man, and he gets these pictures, and the pictures, of course, everybody writes their old lady in prison. Everybody's trying to get panty flicks. Everybody's trying to get a picture of their familia. Pictures are like the nearest and dearest thing you have because it shows you outside of the walls what's going on.
And once again, he's 100% correct. You know, me especially being locked down for a long time, being away from my family, being away from my homies, so on and so forth, I would have a homie by the name of C.O. Loke. And he would always, when we had hood picnics, hood functions, he would take pictures and send them to me. And those pictures meant a lot, especially because I had been gone so long and there would be so many people gathered at these events. And I would sit down with some of my homies who was locked up, and we would try to figure out, you know, sometimes who was on the picture. So pictures definitely mean a lot. And once again, shout out to my homie C.O. Loke. That's SEOLOC. He also raps, and he has a lot of videos up, so go check him out.
to get flicas. When you get them, you show them to everyone. Hey, bro, look. Hey, fuck. Hey, they're kicking it, right? So that's a big deal. It's a big thing, and people treasure them because you know, sometimes you lose contact with your people, man, and that picture is all you got. So anyways, this Black Vato gets this letter, and instead of being a righteous convict like what you would do if you get someone else's mail, you immediately give it to the cop. Hey, man, Benza, wrong person, right? That's good conduct in prison. That's being righteous. That's what you're supposed to do.
He's 100% correct again. And the sad part about that is not everybody in prison has integrity. You know, I started on the level 4s, and as I moved down to the lower levels, what I realized is some people just do what they're supposed to do, not necessarily because it's in them, but fear of violence keeps them in line. So while there may be a strict regimen ran on level 4s, I've been on level 4s with dudes who programmed like they were solid and righteous. And then once they got on lower levels, they done things at those lower levels that they definitely wouldn't have done on that level 4. So sometimes it's just the fear of being physically attacked that keeps people doing the right thing, unfortunately.
But inside this letter was pictures of that Southsider's old lady, right? And so nobody knows that he got this letter, right? He takes these pictures and he puts them in his photo album, rips up the letter, whatever, right? So, of course, time moves on. A couple months later, there's an Asian vato there, right? Now, the Asian vato is from Compton. Let's just say this Southsider was from Compton. This Asian guy was from Compton. And this Asian guy was running Others. Everyone is cool with the Others, man, because the Others program is different. Others being Pacific Islanders, big Usos, Asians, you know, whoever they embrace to be another. So anyways, he's looking through this black dude has his photo album, he's showing his homeboys, and this Asian sitting with them, and they're drinking their coffee and chilling. And he flips the page, and there's a picture of this chick that he has in there with all the, mixed in with all the different chicks he has in his photo album. And there's a lot of guys, man, they like to show off, right? Show what they had on the street, show how they were doing it, show pictures of their chicks. You know, hey, look at the car I had. Everything is had because you don't have it now. Someone else does. Whatever. This Asian dude sees this chick and keys in on her and says, hey, who's that? And the homie knows her. The Asian knows her. And he knows exactly whose wife that is and exactly where that guy sleeps. You know, so he says, oh, you know her? Where's she from? Oh, she's from whoop-de-whoop, right? He gives him a false story over there. He's high-siding. So the Asian's like, oh, okay, whatever. So immediately the Asian dude, knowing what it is in prison, goes to the back and tells the Southsider, hey, bro, that Africano, that black dude, he has a picture of your old lady.
Now, actually, I was in Ironwood one day, and I seen something similar. There happened to be a Crip who was from Southern California. He had his photo album down there, and he was showing his pictures to a group of dudes who were standing around. There happened to be a dude from the Bay also standing around, and just so happened that as the dudes are looking at the pictures, the dude from the Bay say, hey, man, where'd you get that picture? The Crip says, oh, man, I got it from my celly. We traded pictures. The dude from the Bay said, hey, man, you know, if you don't mind, man, that's my sister, man. I want that picture. And the Crip who had traded for the picture was like, oh, okay, yeah, man, I ain't tripping. And he gave the dude the picture. So the dude took the picture. He didn't want a picture of his sister floating around in a penitentiary being shown to random dudes. Now, the picture wasn't that revealing, but still in all. You know, of course, the dude from the Bay, being from San Francisco or Oakland, he didn't know this Crip, and he definitely didn't want this Crip having a picture of his sister.
Can't be, bro. They know better than that. And I'm not just saying that because he was black, he knew better. Everybody knows better than that. And he goes, not for reals, bro. I'm not going to stir up no drama for nothing, right?
Now, also, you may have some people out there wondering, when the Asian went and told the Southsider, would the Asian be considered a snitch? And 100% completely not. And here's why, man. First of all, it's only snitching, in my opinion, of course, when it's law enforcement involved, the police, the correctional officers. Second of all, stealing in prison is a huge, tremendous no-no. You know, there is, by all cars, there is a no policy for stealing. Now, mail is something that everybody in prison gets, or everybody in prison would love to get. And so that's definitely something all the convicts can empathize with. You know, the stealing of pictures, the stealing of property, because on any given day, the COs can easily make the mistake of putting the wrong mail in the wrong cell. So actually what the Asian did was 100% correct and stand up.
So, of course, the Southsider goes, approaches him, hey, let me see your photo album. One thing about the Southsiders, Norteños, any Mexicans, but everybody in prison, but especially the Southsiders, they're not going to wait, eh? And they're not suckers or punks or none of that. So they walk straight up to him, he gets his homeboys, and they're like, hey, bro, we need to see your photo album now, bro. Right? So that black dude's like, what are you talking about? So when he opens his photo album, Because he don't know which Southsider it is. He just knows it's somebody in there, right? The dude sees his old lady. He snatches that down. He's like, hey, bro, that's my wife. And there's a little standoff. And so a couple of the brothers that are seasoned, that have been around, man, from out on the yard, you know, hear about this the next day, right?
And to be honest, it's surprising to me that it didn't go up right then and there, because in a situation like that, if the Southsiders had took off, in my opinion, they would have been 100% correct. Not necessarily taking off on the black dudes, but taking off on this individual who had stole his picture. Because now keep in mind, you know, a lot of times, especially when I first came to prison, we actually could get 100% total nude pictures. Some people would get 100% straight nudes. Some people would get lingerie pictures. But still in all, you definitely don't want some stranger having a picture of your wife and showing a picture of your wife to strange men, especially strange men in prison.
And so they pull the Southsiders to the side. They walk the track. They get at him. They're like, hey, don't trip. We're going to take care of this. This dude was in the wrong, totally in the wrong. Dispensa. We got this, right? Now, it's up to everyone else to take care of their own group. That's how it is in prison. Nobody shall lay hands on another person of a different ethnicity or a different gang or group, because that's going to there's going to be Metaflag people, right? That's going to set something off. So the Southsiders feeling some type of way. They're like, hey, bro, this fool's got to fucking go. He's got to go now. You know what I mean? That shit is uncalled for. But of course, the brothers are feeling like, well, hold up, man. He's a good homie. He made a mistake. You know, is there any way that he could wiggle? And they're like, nah, hey, the wiggleization is not real.
And once again, he's 100% correct. You know, that was definitely not a mistake. You know, that was straight, flat out stealing. And so in that situation, regardless of who he was, there should have been no saving or no trying to save that dude.
They give him a certain time limit, like, hey, this guy should be gone by noon. You know what I mean? Not afternoon, but early noon, right? And when the guy gets back in the gym, he's still there. So they take it, the Southsiders take it as disrespect. The brothers are not handling their business. But really what I think is the brothers were trying to put something into play to get rid of this dude. And you know, in different groups, you know, well, like the Mexicans, man, I'm going to keep it real, we'll make sacrifices, man. If the homeboy has to go to the hoyo or the shoe, he just has to go. That's part of that struggle, part of your dedication to your group, right? So anyways, they're trying to figure it out, and the Southsiders are like, nah.
Now, as Gunner has mentioned a couple times previously, he told this story before. And the reason why I remember it, because I distinctively remember him saying, once again, that the dude who did the stealing was from Philly. And so what puzzled me is, I'm sure now if this dude was from Philly, he was probably the only dude from Philly on the yard. Maybe him and maybe another person, if he was lucky, right? But the chances are 98.9% that he was the only dude from Philadelphia on the yard. That stood out to me, knowing that if this dude was from Philly, he was clearly 100% in the wrong by any standards. In my opinion, the brothers would have and should have been quick to get on this dude's helmito with beep, boop, bop, boop, bop, boop, at the least, because this dude was clearly wrong. And so it puzzled me why no one was willing to step up and get this dude off the yard when he was clearly wrong. That should have been a situation that should have and could have been handled in no longer than 30 minutes. Approach this man and find out, hey man, did you have a picture of that Southsiders family member in your photo album? Because if so, he should have been out of there immediately and on his way in 10-minute tops, because there's no way those dudes should have been willing to go to war or take the chance of going to war when this dude was clearly in the wrong. So I'm not saying that Gunner is lying. What I'm saying is that's something that extremely had me puzzled.
They figure, hey, this is what's going to happen. We're going to go in two waves. We're going to get off with these dudes. We're going to catch them slipping. Now, I know there's going to be a lot of people say, oh, man, they had to catch them while they're asleep. Everybody was doing it. That's just, hey, in prison, man, if you can get the upper hand, you can get the upper hand. So they decided till everybody went to sleep and everything was cool about 1 a.m, right, to make their move. So they had two waves. The first wave, boom, they all boiled hot water, dumped hot water in the faces of all these black dudes. They got off with all the brothers, right? And remember, the Southsiders were the deepest in that gym. So they were able to just send a squad and have a squad lean back. And they said, because this guy disrespected us, we're taking everything they got. Everything. Facts, right?
And from time to time, you'll have people leave comments in my comment section saying that dorm living is not dangerous. Most dorms are level 2, but they do have some dorms that's level 3. And the dangerous part about a dorm is, at all types of the day and the night, there's movement. The dorm is always a little bit less structured than it is on the yard in most cases, but you still have killers and violent people in the dorm. And of course, at some point in time, everybody has to go to sleep.
And so when these guys went back to, some of them got shipped out. There was a lot of chronos flying around. A lot of those Southsiders in that first wave, almost 99% of them got shipped out. And I remember the blacks and the Southsiders were on lockdown for a cool minute, until eventually it got figured out. Now, how did it get figured out? I'm going to be bringing a homeboy that was actually there. This weekend, we're going to chop it up. We're going to do an interview, man. He wants to tell his story. And he was there, and he's going to elaborate more, because I don't want to put out there exactly the deal that was brokered for the brothers to be able to kill this situation with the Southsiders, because there's going to be a lot of people that feel some type of way and feel like I'm firing it up, or feel like, man. But according to what the homeboy said, and I'll just say it straight up, that there was a very influential brother there, man, that had been around. He was a blood. He had been around for a while, man. He had a lot of respect. He was an old school convict. And, he got at the Southsiders, who was like, hey, what's it going to take to kill this? And, the Southerners was like, well, we need some funds, right? And there was some funds that was kicked in, man, and that's truth, man. I know a lot of people are going to be like, well, nah, that ain't the way it went. And it's not a racial thing. It's just sometimes in prison, man, has to be rectified.
To any seasoned convict, it would definitely be understandable why the Southsiders took off if, in fact, the brothers were not prompt in handling this situation. That would be understandable. But going a few steps further, adding insult to injury and stealing all the black property is something that definitely would not be appreciated, and in my opinion, could keep things going on even further, right? But as I stated, stranger things have happened. Case in point, right? The people that I was schooled with, me and my homies, and just in convicts in general, most of them had a policy: we don't pay another grown man's debt. Now, at times, I have seen certain black cars, their homie may go to the yard, get caught up in a gambling debt, and his homies will pay that other car in order to keep the peace and then just get the money back from him. But like I said, my thinking has always been, I don't pay another grown man's debt. But a situation happened to come up one time where I somewhat did pay another grown man's debt. We had a homie that was running around, getting into debt, gambling, owing people. I spoke to him about it and told him not to accumulate any more debt. A couple of weeks later, we found out he was still doing the same thing. So, boop, bop, boop, bop, boop. We put them lefts and rights on him and sent him on his way. After we sent him on his way, I was approached by another black dude who was really trying to be slick, saying that the dude we had just boo-bopped owed them a whole bunch of money for tobacco. Come to find out, he did owe them some money, but not as much as he was trying to say. So initially we had a standoff. We was about to get cracking. I happened to be cool with the older homie of the dude who was claiming that my homie owed him. So I went and flat out told him, we not paying no debts, especially what that dude is talking about. Now, the dude who I happened to be cool with, he was also a Muslim, and he said it was during Ramadan, and he didn't want to get involved because it was Ramadan, and he was trying to stay focused on that, which I totally understood. The next day, another dude who, the same homie that we had beat up and sent on his way, he had owed him in the past, and I made the homie go down and give him his brand new flat screen TV. So he was solid and righteous enough to come to me and say, hey, chill, me and your boy, we had a situation going on where his wife had took my wife some pills, and she's going to bring him in on the visit. He said, when those pills come, I'll give them to you. Now, the dude who came and told me that was definitely solid, because I had no knowledge of that, and that's something that he didn't have to share with me. He could have got those pills and kept them. So then once he told me that, I went and talked to the other dude, and I told him, hey, listen, man, what you asking for is way too much. I found out that the homie did get some tobacco from you, but to my understanding, he got nowhere near what you trying to say. So we agreed upon a lower price, and about a week or two later, when those pills came, I sold a portion of the pills and gave him what we had agreed upon and kept the rest. So in some occasions, people will pay debts, but normally after there's violence, that's debt paid right there. I'll leave the link to this story in my description, so if you like, you can watch this story in its entirety. You already know who it is. It's your boy 16 to life. Resume normal program.